Greetings, it's your girl Katrina Collins coming to you with Spark Tmrw22. You know who we are at Spark Tmrw22. We just want to be a bright light to your next steps, your next endeavor, your next big thing. Bright light, that's what Spark Tomorrow is all about. Wanted to talk to you this morning about built to last. Yes, built to last. If you are just at the slightest cognitively paying attention to all of the headlines and to all of the events that are surrounding our nation, you recognize that we are in a serious, turbulent, chaotic time. I'm kind of coming to the realization that the intentional chaos is hoping to exhaust us. The intentional chaos is hoping to lower our bar for what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. But I need those bona fide Christians that recognize that we were given the guide of how to make sure we stay armored up. We were told to put on a breastplate of righteousness and walk around with the shield of faith. Yes, I get it. You have to be realistic. But he also told us to walk by faith and not by sight. We have to understand that no matter what is taking place in Washington, D.C. and throughout this nation, that we serve a God who is still in control and that he designed us. He told us in his word to walk by faith and not by sight. He also equipped us with a scripture that told us, don't get weary in well-doing. See, when you hear don't get weary, that says to me, you're going to go through some things. That says to me as a Christian, if you tell me to put on the full armor, that I'm going to go through some battles as a Christian, that I'm going to go through some highs, some low, some turbulence, and some chaos. And I may even go through some things in DC that baffle me, confuse me, but don't get weary says stay on your bended knee. Don't get weary says lean not on to your own understanding. Not get weary says you were not given a conscience of fear and trembling, but you were given power, love, and a sound mind, which means when you see these things that are chaotic and turbulent, you have a sound mind when you recognize it and you can call it out and you understand that it is not normal. Built to last. Some of us that are watching this come from a heritage that have gone through slavery. Some of us that are watching this have come from a heritage that has gone through the Holocaust. Some of us that are watching this have come from a heritage that was full immigrant. You came over to the U.S. and you just made your way. Some of us, we made the U.S., didn't get paid for it, but we're still here. So what am I telling you? Just on the morning announcements, I was speaking to our scholars about the first African American to receive his medical degree. Y'all, it was, shortly after slavery had ended. And y'all know I have to lean into Mary McLeod Bethune. Why? Because that young African-American lady, she started a school, y'all, in a barn. And it still exists today in Bethune-Cookman College. So what am I saying? Don't get weary in well-doing. Don't get weary when it's not going all downhill and easy peasy. Because we were instructed not to get weary in well-doing. Because in due season, so in due season means there's a wait. Means there's a wait. So we're built to last. Sadly, we have endured rougher times generationally and through our ancestors. Many of us watching. Many of us, unfortunately, watching, you disagree and you've seen it. You did not necessarily have to live it, but you saw it. So we are holding tight to our faith. We are walking forward with our heads held high. has a plan for us, his children, and that plan is to prosper us. I don't know which way tomorrow will bring. I don't know what will be at the end of the day these days, to be totally honest. But I know he said he will not leave us, nor would he forsake us. And it may seem bleak and it may seem dark, but that is what we hang our hat on. That is what we hang our hope on. And see, hope comes from an old language, and hope used to also mean help. So I know where my help come from. And he told us in this faith walk that all we had to have was faith the size of a mustard seed. They say mustard seed, I've never seen it, but they say it's dust size. So you don't have to have a whole truckload of faith. You don't even have to have a purse full of faith, a wallet full of faith. But you just have that mustard seed faith, that when you see these headlines and you witness these things that are taking place, if you could just have just a little dust size faith to say, I've watched it, because you have to stay informed. I'm not telling you to ignore anything. Stay informed, so that way you know which way to pray. Stay informed so you know which way things are headed. Because one of the things we cannot afford to do is be ill-equipped. See, when you have the right equipment, you can navigate through rough waters because you need a paddle. See, if you have the right equipment, you can knock down a tree because you have to have a saw. If you have the right equipment, you can stay warm, a coat. So I'm not telling you to ignore any of the headlines. I'm not telling you to not take any of it as for what it is, serious, because it is. But I'm saying after you've watched it, you've been informed, and you understand exactly where something is going, and you can understand exactly what is happening. What I am saying to you, and you may have to let out an exhaustive breath. You may have to scratch your head. You may have to rub your chin. You may have to reassort some of the items in your portfolio. You may have to rethink some of your purchases. But after you do those things, I encourage you to lift your eyes to the hills from which cometh your help. Because our help as believers coming from the Lord. They don't come from DC. They come from the Lord. So we are built to last. We're in a chaotic, turbulent time. But our faith, the size of a mustard seed, will carry us through. Don't you lose your hope. Don't you lose your faith. Because as she told her son and mother the son, don't you sit down on them steps because you find it's kind of hard. Don't you sit down, boy, because I's still climbing. You all, we're built to last. Keep climbing. Stay informed. Keep your prayer big and bold. Encourage someone else. You know who needs to see this. You know who's being discouraged by the realistic things that are happening in DC. And you know who needs to be reminded. But you have a faith line. Call that one. All right. Y'all stay up. Stay prayed. Put on that full armor of God. Encourage someone else. Because in a couple of weeks, they may have to be the one depositing those encouraging seeds into you. Love you guys.